Hey there guys, it's me Pat and welcome back again to another tutorial. For today's video, I'm going to discuss how to convert octal to its decimal form. Now in here, we have an octal number which is 2 base 8 and then we're going to convert it into its decimal form which is blank base 10. Now in order to convert, kailangan lang natin matutunan ang isang concept. At ito yung mga powers of 8. Or ito yung mga 8 raised to 0, 8 raised to 1, and so on and so forth, or ito yung mga 8 raised to n. So, yung mga sinasabi ko na powers of 8 ay itong mga values. So, 8 raised to 0 is equal to 1, 8 raised to 1 is equal to 8, 8 raised to 2 is equal to 64, 8 raised to 3 is equal to 512, and then 8 raised to 4 is equal to 4096, and so on and so forth. So, in here guys, ito lang yung mga values na ibibigay ko muna sa inyo kasi ito lang yung kakailanganin natin sa examples na to para mas maintindihan yung lesson at para mas simplihan lang natin siya, okay? Huwag kayong mag-alala kasi yung mga values naman na yan ay i-flash ko sa screen habang nag-answer tayo ng mga examples. So, balikan lang natin yung kanina natin which is this one. Ito na yung guide natin sa gilid. Ang gagawin lang natin in order to convert yung 2 base 8 papunta dun sa decimal which is blank base 10 ay bawat octal digit na ma-encounter natin dito na given ay i-raise natin sa powers of 8, okay? Tapos, i-multiply natin siya dun sa digit na yon. So, paano yon? So, in this case, meron tayong given na 2 base 8, diba? Since isang digit lang siya, i-raise mo siya dito sa 8 raised to 0 muna. So, ang pattern niya would be ito, papunta dito, okay? So, ibig sabihin, 8 raised to 0 muna, tapos tsaka proceed sa 8 raised to 1, okay? So, in here, since mag-isa lang siya, 8 raised to 0 lang ang meron tayo, tapos, i-multiply mo siya dito sa mismong digit na meron siya. And that would be 2. So, yung 8 raised to 1, that would be equal to 1. I-times mo sa 2, that would be equal to 2. Ibig sabihin lang nito, ang 2 base 10 ang sagot natin dyan. Okay? So, medyo nakakalito talaga siya guys sa umpisa. Pero, let's take a look this example para mas matrain tayo. Again guys, ang gagawin lang natin is i-erase natin yung mga digits sa powers of 8 tapos i-multiply natin siya dun sa digit na yon. Okay? Now, in here, we have an example which is 3 base 8. Since mag-isang digit lang siya guys, i-erase natin to sa 8 raised to 0. Okay? Tapos, i-multiply natin siya sa digit na yon, which is 3. Equal sa 1, i-times 3 natin siya, that would be equal to 3 base 10. So, ito na yung final answer natin. Now, let's have our next example, which is 4 base 8. Again, guys, since ito ay isang digit lang, i-erase natin siya sa 8 raised to 0. Tapos, ito times mo siya dito sa digit niya mismo. That would be 4. That would be 1. Times mo sa 4, that would be equal to 4 base 10. Ito na yung final answer natin, okay? Now, for our next example, we have 7 base 8. Again, guys, since etong digit na to ay iisa lang, ang i-erase natin dyan would be 8 raised to 0. Okay? Tapos, i-multiply mo siya dun sa mismong digit niya, which is 7. So, again, ito ay equal sa 1. I-times mo lang sa 7, that would be equal to 7 base 10. Okay? Now, let's try this examples naman. In here, kung mapapansin nyo guys, meron tayong 1, 2 digits. Make sure kapag meron ng more than 1 digit, lagi tayong magsa-start dito sa pinaka-right, okay? Ngayon, etong digit na to ay i-erase natin sa 8 raised to 0. But, instead na lalagay natin 8 raised to 0, 8 raised to 1, pwede na lang natin ilagay yung 0, tapos dito naman ay 1. Kasi understandable naman na powers of 8 yung ginagamit natin dito. So, in shortcut, ito ay understandable na 8 raised to 0, ito naman ay understandable na 8 raised to 1. So, para mas mapabilis lang tayo, okay? So, now, mag-start na ulit tayo sa right, that would be 8 raised to 0, diba? That would be 1. I-multiply natin siya dito sa 0. Okay? Tapos, etong next naman na value, that would be 8 raised to 1, which is 8. Ito yon. I-multiply mo naman siya dito sa 1. Now, pagsamahin natin tong values na to. So, 1 times 0, which is ito yung buong na to, that would be 0. Then, 8 times 1, which is etong buong na to, that would be 8. I-add lang natin sila. that would be 8. So, ibig sabihin, ang answer natin dyan would be 8 base 10. Okay? Now, let's try this example naman. We have 25 base 8. Again guys, kung mapapansin nyo, meron tayong dalawang digits. Ibig sabihin, kailangan natin mag-start dito sa pinaka-right at etong unang digit na to ay i-raise natin sa 8 raised to 0. Ito naman ay i-raise natin sa 8 raised to 1. Again guys, etong 8 raised to 0 natin ay equal siya saan? Ito yon 1. Tapos i-multiply mo siya sa 5. Okay? Next naman natin na digit would be this one. This would be 8 raised to 1. That would be 8 according dito. Tapos, i-times mo siya sa 2. Okay? Tapos, kailangan lang natin ipag-combine sila. So, 1 times 5, that would be 5. And then, 8 times 2 would be 16. Tapos, i-add mo lang sila, itong digits na to. Now, let's try another example, and that would be 67 base 8. Again, guys, meron tayong dalawang digits. Ibig sabihin, kailangan lang natin erase yan isa-isa sa powers of 8. So, for this one, dito tayo mag-start sa right, that would be 8 raised to 0. Ito yon, that would be 1. I-multiply mo siya dito sa digit na to, okay? Tapos, dito naman tayo, 8 raised to 1. That would be 8, since ito yon. Tapos, i-times mo lang siya dun sa mismong digit niya, which is etong 6. So, ibig sabihin, 1 times 7 is equal to 7. 8 times 6 is equal to 48. Then, kapag in-add lang natin yan, it would be 55 base 10. Ayan ay final answer natin, okay? Now, let's try this example naman. We have here 14 base 8. Again, guys, katulad ng kanina, kailangan natin yan erase sa powers of 8. Tapos, dito tayo magsa-start ulit, di ba? Sa pinaka-right. So, that would be 8 raised to 0 is 1. Times mo siya sa 4. Tapos, eto naman ay 8 raised to 1. That would be 8. I-times mo siya sa 1. Okay? So, 1 times 4 is equal to 4. Then, 1 times 8 or 8 times 1 is equal to 8. So, 8 plus 4, that would be equal to 12 base 10. Okay? Next naman would be this example. That would be 37 base 8. Again, kailangan lang natin erase etong mga numbers na to or mga digits na to, powers of 8. Tapos, tsaka tayo mag-compute. That would be 8 raised to 0 is equal to 1. I-times mo sa 7. Then, dito naman, we have 8 raised to 1. That would be 8. I-times mo naman siya sa 3. Okay? So, 7 times 1 is 7 or 1 times 7. Tapos, 8 times 3 is equal to 24. Now, i-add lang natin yan. 7 plus 4, that would be 11. 2 plus 1, that would be 3. That would be 31 base 10. Okay? Now, let's proceed to our next example, and that would be 54 base 8. Again, kanina natin ginagawa, i-erase lang natin yan lahat sa powers of 8. So, etong part na to, magsa-start tayo dito sa pinaka-right, no? So, that would be 8 raised to 0, which is 1 times 4. Tapos, etong part naman na to would be 8 raised to 1, which is 8, times 5. So, again, 1 times 4 is equal to 4. 8 times 5 is equal to 40. I-add lang natin yung dalawa. 4 plus 40 is equal to 44 base 10. Okay? So, kung makikita nyo, medyo madali na siya kasi napafamiliar na tayo kahit paunti-unti. Okay? So, let's try this example naman para mas matrain pa talaga tayo at mas ma-enhance yung knowledge natin dito, okay? So, that would be equal to, ito ay i-erase natin sa 8 raised to 0, 8 raised to 1, and then 8 raised to 2, okay? So, again guys, dito tayo magsa-start sa pinaka-right. That would be 8 raised to 0, that would be 1, i-times lang natin siya dito sa digit na to, that would be 3, okay? Next naman, 8 raised to 1, that would be 8, i-times lang natin siya dito sa digit na to, that would be 7. Now, next naman would be 8 raised to 2, that would be 64. Ngayon, yung 64 ay ita-times lang natin dito sa digit niya, which is 2. Okay? So, again guys, kailangan lang natin kuhanin yung sagot. So, 1 times 3, that would be 3. 8 times 7, that would be 56. And then, 64 times 2, that would be 128. So, all in all, guys, kailangan lang natin yan i-add. And ang result niyan would be 3 plus 6, that would be 9. Plus 8 is 17, carry 1. So, 5 plus 2, that would be 7 plus 1, that would be 8. And ito naman, yung 1 natin would be bring down. So, 187 base 10 yung sagot natin dyan. Okay? So, for our next example, we have here 545 base 8. Same concept ulit. I-erase lang natin lahat ng digits na to sa powers of 8. So, ito, 8 raised to 0, that would be 1. It times mo sa 5. Next naman would be 8 raised to 1, that would be 8. It times mo ulit sa 4. So, binago ko na yung multiplication symbol, guys. Ganito na lang para mas madalian tayo magsulat at hindi sayang sa oras. Next naman would be 8 raised to 2, that would be 64 times 5. Okay? So, 1 times 5, that would be 5. 8 times 4, that would be 32. Then, 64 times 5, that would be 320. So, i-add lang natin all in all lahat. So, 5 plus 2, that would be 7. 3 plus 2, that would be 5. And 3 would be bring down. At ang sagot natin dyan would be 357 base 10. Okay? Now, let's try this example naman. We have here 120 base 8. Again, same concept. I-erase natin lahat ng numbers na yan or digits na yan. Tapos, 8 raised to 0. Dito tayo magsa-start, diba? 8 raised to 0, that would be 1 times mo sa 0. Tapos, sa part naman na to, that would be 8 raised to 1, that would be 8 times mo sa 2. Tapos, eto naman part na to, that would be 8 raised to 2, that would be 64. It times mo sa 1. So, again, kuhanin lang natin yung mga sagot nila. So, 1 times 0 is equal to 0. 8 times 2 is equal to 16. Then, 64 times 1, that is equal to 64. So, i-add lang natin lahat-lahat. That would be 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. So, 1 plus 1, that would be 2. Plus 6 mo, that would be 8. So, 80 base 10 ang ating sagot dyan. Okay? Now, let's try another example. At ito naman yung mga yon. This would be 1026 base 8. Again, guys, humaba na yung given natin dito. But same concept, kaso yung process nga lang ay medyo mahaba na. So, again, etong lahat ng digits na to ay i-erase natin sa powers of 8. Okay? Meron naman tayong guide dito. Huwag nyo kakalimutan na gamitin yan. Or mas maganda if kakabisaduhin nyo yan para less hassle tayo. Okay? So, we have here 8 raised to 0. Dito tayo magsa-start ulit. So, 8 raised to 0, that would be 1. Times natin dito sa 6. Next naman, 8 raised to 1, that would be equal to 8. Times natin sa 2. Okay? Next naman would be 8 raised to 2, that would be 64. Times natin siya dito sa 0. Next naman would be 8 raised to 3, this is 512. And that would be multiplied to 1. Okay? So, 1026, okay siya. 1864, 512, dito, okay siya. So, 1 times 6, that would be 6. 8 times 2, that would be 16. 64 times 0, that would be 0. And then, 512 times 1 is equal to 512. Okay? Add lang natin ulit sila, guys. So, dito, sa area na to, 6 plus 6, that would be 12. Plus 2, that would be 14. Tapos, carry 1. Okay? 1 plus 1, that would be 2. Plus 1, that would be 3. Then, we have here 5. Bring down lang natin. That would be 534 base 10 yung ating final answer. Okay? So, for our next example, we have here 3,154 base 8. Again, guys, i-erase lang natin to lahat sa powers of 8. Okay? So, again, dito tayo magsa-start sa pinaka-right. And that would be 8 raised to 0 is equal to 1 times natin sa 4. Next naman, dito, that would be 8 raised to 1, which is equal to 8 times mo sa 5. Okay? Next naman, we have here 8 raised to 2, that would be equal to 64. I-times mo siya sa 1. Okay? Next naman, we have here 8 raised to 3, that would be 512. Tapos, i-multiply natin siya sa 3. So, ayan na yun. So, 1 times 4, that would be equal to 4. 8 times 5, that would be equal to 40. 64 times 1, that would be equal to 64. And then 512 times 3, that would be 6, 3, and then 1536. Okay? Again, i-add lang natin tong lahat. 1,644 base 10. So guys, feel free na i-solve yung mga examples natin na to kasama ako, or pwede nyo naman i-pause yung videos and i-replay yung mga videos ko para mas maintindihan nyo pa in case na hindi kayo nakakasunod. So just a reminder guys, don't be too hard on yourself and focus with your own pacing, okay? Now, let's try this next example. We have here 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, base 8. Again guys, i-erase natin yan lahat sa powers of 8. And that would be 8 raised to 0, 1, 2, 3, then 4. Okay? So, same concept lang as kanina. Dito tayo magsa-start sa pinaka-right. Okay? So, 8 raised to 0, that would be 1. Multiply lang natin dito, that would be 1 ulit. Next naman would be 8 raised to 1, that would be 8. I-multiply lang natin sa 0. Okay? Or pwede nyo naman i-cancel na ganyan. Next naman would be 8 raised to 2. That would be equal to 64 times natin sa 6. Okay? Next naman, 8 raised to 3. That would be 512. Tapos, i-times natin siya sa 5. Okay? Next naman would be 8 raised to 4. That would be 4,096. I-multiply lang natin sa 4. Since ito ay medyo mahaba, pwede naman kayo gumamit ng calculator if you are allowed to do so. So, 1 times 1, that would be 1. 8 times 0, that would be 0. Then, 64 times 6, that would be equal to 384. Next would be 512 times 5, that would be equal to 2,560. And then, yung 4,096 times 4 is equal to 16,384. Yan. Ayan, medyo malalaki na yung values natin, pero kailangan natin i-add para makasurvive tayo at masagutan natin itong example na to. Okay? So, ang answer natin would be 19,329 base 10. Okay? So, guys, tignan talaga natin if naintindihan nyo ba talaga yung lesson na to. And in order to do that, I want you to grab your own pen and paper or any scratch paper at answeran yung mga short assessment na to. So, in here, we have, for example, 3,051 and then 2,746 all in octal number, tapos i-convert natin siya to its decimal form. So, meron na rin kayong mga guide dyan ng mga powers of 8, okay? So, make sure lang na i-comment nyo yung mga answers nyo dyan sa my comment sections below. Tapos, i-check natin yan afterwards, okay? So, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching and please do like and subscribe to my channel. Bye!